Chapter 1. The Unseen Threat. The portal shimmered violently, its swirling hues a chaotic dance of alien energy, casting fractured shadows across Morris's apartment. The glow painted the room in shifting colors, blues, purples, emerald greens, warping reality itself. Mark tightened his grip on the rope fastened between him and Morris, testing its tension one last time. It was the only safeguard between them and complete isolation in the unknown. We step in together. We stay connected. No exceptions. Morris gave a sharp nod, exhaling as he activated his invisibility cloak. His pulse thundered in his ears. This was it. A single step forward, and they were gone. Arrival in the abyss. The instant their feet hit the alien ship's surface, a wave of disorientation slammed into them. The ship was massive, a cathedral of steel and energy, its towering walls lined with intricate runes, pulsing like a heartbeat beneath the metal. The air hummed, alive, vibrating with frequencies too foreign for human ears. Morris turned in slow circles, trying to take it all in, his breath short, sharp. This is unreal. His voice barely a whisper, not out of fear, but out of reverence. Mark, however, didn't share the awe. Something felt wrong. The portal had been sluggish this time, its activation stretching longer, feeling heavier, as if the ship itself had tried to resist their arrival. He scanned the space, searching for movement, for signs of life. Nothing. Yet as they pressed further into the colossal chamber, their boots echoing against the eerie silence, the unsettling realization gripped them both. The ship's equipment, the towering furniture, the pathways between walls. It wasn't designed for greys. Not the small, delicate, childlike beings they had imagined. No. Whoever, or whatever, owned this vessel was a bit larger than humans, and they were nowhere to be seen. But Mark knew deep in his gut, they were watching, waiting, and soon they would make themselves known. And Earth was not ready. The waking Mark's eyes flung open. For a heartbeat, he didn't recognize the ceiling. The smell was clinical, the light too pale. Tubing tugged at his throat and needles prickled in his arm. Panic surged. He tore the nasal cannula free, yanked out the IV. The machines around him beeped and flared like startled birds. He stumbled toward the bathroom, legs weaker than he remembered, but not unfamiliar. His body felt light, too light. After relieving himself, he staggered to the mirror and froze. The boy who stared back was younger, smaller. 13. Freckles scattered like old constellations across his cheeks. His hair was wrong. His voice, when he gasped, wasn't the one he remembered defeating the Grey Armada. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no, no. This can't be." He screamed. Moments later, the door burst open. A nurse, wide-eyed and breathless, rushed to his side. "He's awake!" she shouted into the hallway. "He's awake! Get Dr. Han and call the family." Hours later, the hospital room was warmer now. Curtains open, machines silenced. The IV stand was still there but untouched. Joe and Jasmine sat side by side, holding hands tightly. Jasmine's eyes were puffy. Joe looked 10 years older than Mark remembered. Martha peeked out from behind Joe's arm, now several years younger than she should have been. And Uncle Morris? He entered last, slower, wearing an old leather jacket that Mark hadn't seen since the 8th grade. He smiled, but his lips trembled with every step. "You," Morris said softly, "just pulled a Rip Van Winkle in reverse." Mark blinked. "This isn't right," he murmured. "We are the heroes of the Resistance. We stopped the Greys. We saved the planet. Everyone froze. "What's the last thing you remember?" Joe asked carefully. Mark's heart thundered. "We were together. I am a grown-up. We saved everything." But the IV bag glinted. The walls didn't hum with glyphs. Just a boy again. Or still. Between dreams and dust. Mark blinked hard as his eyes adjusted to the bright white of the hospital lights. The sterile scent, the faint beep of machines, the warmth of his family's faces. It all felt at once familiar and alien, like stepping into the wrong universe wearing the right clothes. His voice cracked. "You're all here." Jasmine was the first to wrap her arms around him, her hug somehow both gentle and crushing. "You scared us," she whispered, tears tracing a line down her cheek. "You really scared us." Joe sat on the edge of the bed and placed a steadying hand on Mark's shoulder. His expression was calm, but weighed with emotion. "You've been in a coma," Joe said softly, "for 4 days." Mark's lips parted. "No, that's not right. We were in the training grounds in the Australian base." Joe gave him a long, searching look. "You were playing baseball. You tried to steal second. Your helmet slipped off and the pitcher's throw nailed you in the temple. You went down hard, son. They rushed you off the field before we could even get to the dugout." Mark's mouth went dry. "No battle? No alien invasion?" Uncle Morris leaned against the wall with a crooked smile and red-rimmed eyes. "Afraid not, spaceman. Just a baseball diamond and one very aggressive shortstop." Mark swallowed. "But it felt real. Everything. Valerie, Jason, Ben." Martha padded closer, holding his favorite water bottle. She placed it on the table beside him and looked up with wide, innocent eyes. "You were talking in your sleep. Said something about portals and shields." Mark blinked rapidly, caught somewhere between laughter and disbelief. Was it just a dream? Was his mind weaving meaning out of trauma? Or was it possible that something had touched him during those 4 lost days? Something deeper than memory. He stared at his family, but his heart still hummed with something unsaid, something not finished. The vanishing years. Mark sat propped up in the hospital bed, his hand trembling slightly as he looked down at it, turning it over, searching for a scar he had from a battle. His voice was small, almost like someone recalling a dream already fading at the edges. "I'm 35, he said again. "I fought battles you'll never read about. I was a leader. There was a resistance against the Greys. We stopped them. We saved Earth." Joe shifted uneasily in his chair, exchanging a worried glance with Jasmine, but he didn't interrupt. Mark's throat tightened. It was real. It felt real. But now, it's slipping. Faces I trusted. I can't remember their names. I knew languages that don't exist anymore. He pressed his palms to his temples. "I knew why aliens were here. And now I can't even remember how all started." The doctor cleared his throat gently from the doorway. "I understand this is distressing," he said, voice calm but cautious. "Coma patients often report vivid dreams, or memories that feel like entire lifetimes. It's not uncommon. But in Mark's case..." He stepped further into the room, holding a clipboard with unreadable scans clipped to it. "We ran full MRI and CT scans, comprehensive neurological exams, and to be honest, his brain is pristine. No trauma, no hemorrhage, not even the kind of bruising we'd expect from a baseball impact that severe." Joe frowned. "So, what are you saying?" "I'm saying," the doctor said slowly, "that I can't explain how someone experiences 4 days of unconsciousness and walks out with completely normal cognitive function. No deficits, no anomalies. As far as medicine goes, he's fine." Uncle Morris muttered from the hallway, where he'd been listening quietly. "Except for the part where he remembers saving the planet." Mark looked up sharply. "You were there too. You don't remember?" He blinked, hesitated, then slowly walked into the room. "I remember you getting hit. I remember being called in. But the rest..." He tapped his temple. "It's like trying to remember a dream I didn't have. Like there's a shape behind the curtain, but I can't pull it open." Morris rubbed the back of his neck. "I mean, could we all be dreaming still? Just nested inside another layer?" Mark chuckled, but there was sorrow underneath it. "I just don't want to forget everything. It mattered. It felt like I had lived a whole life." He swung his legs over the side of the bed, sighing. "If I forget it all, did any of it really happen?" Jasmine knelt beside him, brushing his hair back. "You're here now. We've got you." Mark nodded, but his eyes wandered out the window, drawn toward the sky. Somewhere up there, maybe something was still listening. And maybe it was waiting for him to remember. Echoes in the pine. The scent of garlic and melted cheese still lingered in the air long after dinner had ended. Jasmine had gone all out, spaghetti swirling with thick, savory sauce, meatballs so tender they practically broke on the fork, and Mark's perennial favorite, a single, perfectly crisp slice of pepperoni pizza, folded gently on the side like a secret treat. Comfort food, soul-deep. The kind of meal that said, "You're home now." Laughter had returned to the house, even if softly. Martha quizzed him on animal facts in between bites, and Joe kept reaching across the table for second helpings he pretended weren't for him. Morris dropped by briefly with a card and a book titled 100 Fascinating Campfire Questions, and Morris stayed long enough to lose twice at Uno before declaring the deck clearly enchanted. But somewhere beneath Mark's smile, something else stirred. Quiet, low, like the hum of an old machine not yet powered down. That sensation, that knowing. He couldn't name it, couldn't picture it anymore, but it still lived somewhere in his chest, like a thread tugging at a corner of his soul, whispering, "You were more." Later that evening, while Mark packed a flashlight and a still-wrinkled map of the state park, Jasmine crouched beside him with a warm smile. "The scout trip's in 4 days. You don't have to go. We could cancel, make a new plan. Something chill. Rent movies. Eat pancakes." Mark sat back against the pillow, thoughtful. "Honestly, I think going will help. It's been a weird week. Fresh air, friends. Just being around firewood and bug spray sounds kind of perfect." Jasmine nodded. Then it settled. As the night pulled around the house like a dark woolen blanket, Morris stood at the doorway to Mark's room. One hand on the doorknob, the other loosely gripping his keys. "You sure you're good?" he asked. Mark gave him a sleepy thumbs up. Morris lingered. "That dream," he said softly. "Whatever it was. You said it felt like your whole life." Mark's eyes met his uncle's, searching. "I think it was. Or could have been." Morris gave a slow nod. "And now?" Mark shook his head. "It's gone. I don't even remember how it started." Morris gave a chuckle that sounded more wistful than amused. "Well, if it ever comes back, write it down, save it for later. Or better yet, make it into a comic." Mark smiled. "Only if you promise to carry it in the shop." "Deal." And with that, Morris left. Downstairs, the last lights dimmed. But outside, above the neighborhood roofs, a single star flickered brighter than the others, just for a moment, as if winking at someone who, once upon a timeline, wore a crown made of choice.